You're watching Thoughts on Tech powered by Eastern Communications. Now in this podcast series, we are discussing cybersecurity. Especially now, with the booming digital economy, a lot of businesses are actually forced to put their business online. Question is, how do they protect their businesses from any form of cyber threats?
AI is a tool. So whether it's a friend or a foe depends on who uses it. So I suggest for everyone who's afraid of AI, use AI.
We are not saying that you will not be attacked. You will be. But the magic word there is that you should be resilient. If one of your services go down, you should be quick enough to get it back to service.
The truth is, no matter how small your business is, you need security. Whether physical security or cyber security. Security is still very important.
There will be threat actors always, but we need to adapt this because at the end of the day, we just want to use technology to better our lives.
I'm Jess De Los Santos and you're watching Thoughts on Tech powered by Eastern Communications. Good day everyone, I'm Jess De Los Santos and you're watching Thoughts on Tech powered by Eastern Communications. Now in this 4-part podcast series, we are discussing cybersecurity. Especially now, with the booming digital economy, a lot of businesses are actually forced to put their business online. Question is, how do they protect their businesses from any form of cyber threats? Now to answer that, we have with us Rex Evangelista, Head of IT over at Eastern Communications. Rex, good day, thank you for joining us.
Good day, Jess.
Pleasure to actually have you here with us. I mean, not at the risk of dating you here, but you have close to 2 decades of experience,
Yes,
mostly in the telco space, right? More than 2 decades.
Yes.
So how have things changed in the IT space?
Let's just say that it has changed a lot. Previously, when you talk about IT, it's laptop, it's connectivity, and then it moved to applications, and then it moved to automation, and then eventually, as the day progressed, we are now living in a digital world wherein you can no longer live without it. So right now, everything can be accessed digitally via the internet. Even your money is in the internet. So basically, there are a lot of things happening. And I think the most important aspect right now, aside from the connectivity and the digitalization, is cybersecurity. Because there are a lot of threat actors, you can call them that, who would use the internet as their way to you.
Right.
Yeah, so basically that's why there are a lot of hacking at the moment, and we have to be very careful with that.
Okay, Rex, again, I don't want to date you here, but back in the day, what were the threats normally?
Threats normally before, it is mostly physical. Basically, when you talk about like the data center, you just have to make sure that you secure it physically. Normally, the security that you apply is more on who are the people who are allowed to go inside your data center. Other than that, since it is not connected outside, then you have no problems. But now, since you can access internet via the internet, then you have to watch out for that.
And before, like normally you'd be receiving calls, but then these are actors, physical actors still, right?
Yes.
And for now?
Well, there are still some physical actors. We call it threat actors. But since the dawn of the modern technology, they can already create a solution wherein they can do it simultaneously.
Right.
Like, 1,000 attacks per second. So it is more complex and more sophisticated now.
Let's pick up on that. Like, what are the more common forms of cyber threats, incidents that we experience now?
Okay. Maybe let's go to the simpler cyber threats. They call it phishing. Basically, phishing is a threat wherein a threat actor would just, do social engineering wherein they would contact people via text, via call, via email. And the main intent there is basically to get information from them. What are the information they would get? For example, they would be getting your username and password for your bank. Or they would be getting some information about your family, about yourself, wherein you will be identified by a certain information such as your PIN, your SSS number, etc. Wherein they will be will be able to use that to mimic you. For example, for bank transactions and even for other transactions. So somehow those are the things that they're doing in terms of the phishing part. Now, the more complex attack would be the usage of technology.
Okay.
Wherein they will be looking at your network. For example, you're in an organization. They will be looking at your network and they will be looking for openings, loopholes where they can penetrate you. They'll be able to go inside. They will put some malware inside. They will now get hold of your system, lock it. That's why there are ransomware wherein they will now be calling you, asking for ransom for you to get hold back of your system.
Where are these loopholes of vulnerabilities most of the
Alright.
time?
In an organization, you have to always look at, for example, let's compare it to your house. Okay. If you look at your house, what are the possible entryways of a thief, for example? Of course, through the door, through your windows. So in your organization, you have to look for these holes,
Weak spots.
So those are the things you have to look first, and you have to secure that. Because if you're not able to put solutions in front of that, then they'll be able to penetrate you.
In more concrete terms, like in the cases of businesses and enterprises, where would those spots normally be?
All right.
In what segment?
First, they say that the people or your employees are the weakest links.
Yeah.
So let's just say that the first spot or the first loophole would be your people. For example, if you're issuing them laptops, whatever they put inside, your USB, whatever they install in their laptops, can be an opening for threat actors. So that is why number one loophole would be make sure that whatever your employees are using and accessing the system that you have within your organization, these are the first things that you have to secure. So there are a lot of solutions that goes with it. Second, if your organization is actually present in the internet, for example, if you're conducting your business via the internet, that is another way, another path that a threat actor can actually go to.
As long as your business is in the network,
Yes.
in the web.
Yes.
Okay. Now, but how do you work around that? I mean, there's no
Okay.
escaping.
Of course. Okay. So there are a lot of solutions. First, now in the olden days, they have the firewall, and there are a lot of solutions that goes with it. And normally, one of the practices that we are doing right now is you hire people to actually try to penetrate your system. Normally, you set it up, firewalls and the layers of protection that you have. But of course, probably sometimes you won't be able to see everything.
Yeah.
So you reach out to some partners who are experts. We call it the white hat hackers. So these are the people who would test your system. They know the ins and outs. They know the common vulnerabilities that you have. So hire them, and they will now be able to check whether there are pathways, holes within your organization to make sure that you are safe.
Hearing all of this, Rex, one of the concerns would be cost. I would feel like if I'm going to tap somebody else to
Okay.
do all these things, I'm going to contact another vendor. I would feel like, okay, this is just an additional
Okay.
expense.
Rule number 1, don't buy everything that is available. So if you don't know what you don't know, for example, you don't know really IT and security, cybersecurity, I would rather get an expert. Okay, that's number 1. Second, no cost yet. Make sure that all the people in your organization are educated. So it's for free. So basically, make sure that you're in the same page. Make sure that they're all aware that there are possibilities of hacking if they would be careless in what they do or in what they, what they access within your network.
Yeah.
Okay, that is still for free. Now, normally there are standard basic solutions that you need. For example, endpoint security, endpoint or laptops or desktops. So these are, as I said, these are the first areas that you have to secure because these are the things that are being used on a regular basis by your employees, even to the level of the executives. So secure that. Second, as I said, if you are accessible via the internet, secure that as well. And I think those are of course, as I said, the software that you buy, normally they would also know what are the latest in terms of hacking. and they would come up with latest patches which you have to install in your devices, whether your laptop, your tablet, or your phone. The patches are there because two things. It's either there would be additional capability, or it is an answer to a new say spyware or malware available out there. So just make sure that you update the software installed in your endpoints.
Actually, to be honest, listening to you speak, I feel like it can also be quite overwhelming for small businesses, especially.
Yes.
So, what's going to be the strategy? What's going to be the approach?
Okay.
Where do you begin?
Okay. If I would be the one building my own company or organization, I would really talk to an IT professional for me to have an idea on what to do. What to do first, because there are a lot of solutions out there which you may not need. But basically, you have to just secure the things that you're using on a regular basis, and you have to educate your people. I think that's the first step, because the truth is, even if you have everything, but if your people are careless, I call say for example the CEO. I talk to that person. I would pretend that I'm somebody he knows. I would ask for his password, for his username. Voila. So there's no amount of technology with that. It is still education and the know-how of the people working.
Okay, I'll pick up on that example.
Yeah.
Are high-level executives vulnerable?
Definitely.
Based on your experience with Eastern, I mean, you also handle enterprises and business solutions here. What's the trend here for businesses? Has there been a shift?
In the dawn of the COVID, the companies now are more aware of the importance of cybersecurity, because they know that if in case, like for example, ETPI, Eastern Communications, we are in the business of security, cybersecurity. Now, if a breach would happen to ETPI, definitely it will be our downfall. That is why you have to think very carefully on what are the things and the priorities that you have within your organization.
You mentioned a shift has already happened. So meaning that they no longer consider cybersecurity as an expense, but as an investment?
Yes. You can liken it to an insurance. You don't want it to happen, but if it happens, then somehow you are covered.
Does that also apply for small businesses? Because I would assume that some of them would think that, my business is too insignificant.
The truth is, no matter how small your business is, you need security, whether physical security or cybersecurity. Because no matter how small it is, the inventory that you have, the things that you have within the organization are actually the things that you are, offering, selling, services, are your products. So no matter how small it is, security is still very important.
Right. And especially if you're trying to protect the trust of your consumers.
Correct.
Right.
Especially if your consumers are somehow entrusting their information to you, then you have to make sure that you have to secure it.
Now, the question is, what tools are available, especially cost-effective tools?
So it really depends on of course, the size of the organization. So for basic, of course, the endpoint security, the firewall, the anti-malware, antivirus thing. Okay. But for bigger and more complex organizations, there's a need for us to do a more proactive monitoring and searching within the organization. Normally, they have this XDR. It is more of a detection and response solution, wherein the solution or the software is now helping you check for vulnerabilities, check for loopholes. So it will be proactive, so that if in case there would be attacks, you would be able to see it immediately. More dangerous thing that you have to really watch out for are internal threat actors. And what do I mean? There might be some employees who are disgruntled, especially the network administrators.
Wait, this happens?
Yes, it happens. So these are the people who might put something in your system. That is why, aside from the north-south security, there's also this the horizontal, the east-west, wherein even inside the system, inside the network, you'll be able to capture if there are anomalies happening that are, not normal. So normally these are the red flags, and the administrators will be would be advised now if there are such anomalies within the network.
Okay. Now, but when you're talking about technologies and tools, it's something that refreshes from time and time again. So
Okay.
that's going to add up,
Yes.
especially with your cost.
All right. Okay. Normally for us, we don't usually just buy whatever is available in the market. Normally we think about it. We sit down and we look at the current solutions that we have. Is it still sufficient or not? But because the truth is, even the current things that you have, it may be sufficient already for the type of business that you have. Okay. However, if you now grow, if you now expand, then that's the time you have to really see whether, it's no longer sufficient. Then you have to allow. Okay. It is very important that you really think about it. Look for your options, because definitely there are a lot of options.
What you mentioned that, it can be taxing, but that's also my question is, yes, you may have
Okay.
the tools now, you may have the platform now. It's a question of, do I have the necessary personnel to handle this?
All right, that's very important. Okay. Again, personnel, you have to make sure that you have the right people for the right job. Okay. There are two ways of actually of course, so you can do assessment first. But if in case you think that your personnel are not enough in terms of the volume or the number and the capability or the skills, there are two things you can do. It is either you build, you hire, and then you train them, or you buy. You can hire also who are already experts, which is they are really expensive. Or there's also another way, which is you outsource. There are a lot of managed service companies out there wherein you can outsource experts or the technology or the personnel with specific skills that you need. You can do those. Now, if you'd ask me, I'd rather actually build. However, it would take some time. So it really depends on your need. No? If there are already people in your organization who are skilled, who are competent, but you lack the volume, you lack the number, I would rather build it, because somehow you're able to capitalize on, well, of course, the cost. Because if you'd hire somebody who is an expert, definitely you'll spend a fortune for them. And it's very hard to also get very good people. I'd rather build it within the organization, let them blend in with the team, and then build it and then train them. You'll be able to get the loyalty of the people because we actually build them and train them internally. But of course, if there's due to lack of time,
Yes.
you start with the managed services, or you buy talents which are already experts in their respective fields.
Work with what you're capable of at the moment.
Yes.
Mas mabuti ng meron kaysa wala completely, no?
Yes.
But, even if you have the personnel,
Alright.
you have the tools, incidents will happen, whether knowingly or
Alright.
unknowingly. So, how do you manage?
Okay, there are best practices already. Normally, we follow the ITIL best practice. Okay, and there are also certifications wherein best practices are now are now followed by the organization. Okay, like for example, Eastern Communications.
Sure.
We are ISO 27001 certified. That is Information Security Management System. Okay, what does that mean? It means that Eastern Communications has the right policies for information security. We follow such policies. It is known by all members of the organization. And even the solutions that are needed, that are essential, are actually in place. Okay. Since we are following the best practices, that only means that in terms of the mindset, in terms of the knowledge of the people in relation to information security, we are somehow there.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's 100%, everybody
It's
knows,
foolproof.
but
Yeah.
at least we are talking about it on a regular basis. When an incident comes, there is a policy and there's a procedure that has to be followed for you to have to first arrest the incident, and what are the things and steps you have to follow, you have to do to make sure that there would be minimal impact on the organization and your operations.
Okay, say for example, again, I'm a small business. I don't have the means yet to actually go through all this certification.
Yeah.
But when a threat appears or when an incident occurs, what should be the basic strategy?
All right. Of course, even before it happens, there should be a common and basic understanding that there is such thing as an incident management. Okay. So if it happens, so normally what we do for incidents are basically things that are not working as expected. Okay. But there is a security incident wherein, for example, there's a breach. Okay. There's already a discipline within the organization that when an incident strikes, then you know how to deal with it. First, you have to arrest. If there would be a breach, then you have to put down the system, make sure that no other information would be compromised. You put down the system. And normally for us, we have a disaster recovery site for such things. For example, our production environment gets hacked. Normally you put it down.
All right.
And then you actually go to your disaster recovery, put it up with a clean version of the system, and then you use that. And the system that is compromised will no longer be accessible outside. So therefore, there's a backup that you can actually use to continue operations. So of course, that is for companies who has the means to do that. But for those who doesn't, then definitely it's downtime.
What's that again?
Downtime.
Downtime, okay.
You have to put it down. You have to arrest. Once you're able to get hold of your data in your system, you put it back again. Just make sure you have to have the necessary security precautions after. You have to learn from your mistakes.
Yes. And sometimes you really do have to experience it in order for you to learn. Are you going to manage? Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but yeah.
Having said all that, what for you would be the ideal scenario now, at least in the enterprise market?
Okay. So first, basics. Make sure that your employees are aware. If in case you are faced with a situation, for example, you receive something, an email. It's something you do not expect. It's something that is kind of odd. What would be your reaction? So if your employees are well informed, then somehow there is wait, I should not trust the email. Probably I need to ask our IT or our information security team first before I do something about it. So somehow there is now a sense of awareness of what is happening, because for all we know that the email is actually legit.
Yeah.
But at least there is an afterthought that hold on.
That ounce of doubt could actually
Correct.
go a long way.
There you should stop first before doing anything. So that's the most basic that you can actually do. And of course, as you move along, it really depends on the need of the organization, on the solutions, on the technology that you might need in the future. So I think that's the first thing, really, more on education of the employees first.
But at the basic level, we can confidently say that cybersecurity need not be expensive.
Yes, it can be if you want to, but the first step would be that, not the education and the know-how of your employees.
And now,
it's for free.
I mean, educating your employees for free. How exactly do you go about that?
All right.
What resources are
Okay.
available?
All right. So let's just say, I'll use our example, the pandemic. Okay. So in Eastern Communication, I think I was, I joined in 2019. Pandemic broke March 2020. I was lucky because the system was already there. We just didn't go physically to the office, but still operations went on. However, of course, because people are at home, then you wouldn't know what they're doing at home. So what we did, we took it upon ourselves to make sure that we properly inform our employees by conducting webinars, online sessions on do's and don'ts, what to do with your laptops, make sure that they are properly patched, and then don't go and click on. So we did a lot of things in terms of the education part. So that's why I think we had very, very minimal cases and we were able to arrest those cases that it did not really blow into proportion. We were able to. We are not free from this. There were incidents, but we were able to secure our network by the right education and, of course, the right solution that we had then.
Okay, lastly, what do you think would it take for businesses to really realize that investment in cybersecurity, more than the expenses, is actually a cost-saving measure?
I'd rather keep my reputation than be hacked. So again, they have to liken it like an insurance that if it happens, somehow you're covered. But the cybersecurity solutions are there to actually make sure that operations will continue, that it will not be disrupted. Your reputation will remain intact, especially if you're in the business of security. That no information will go out of your organization, and that the trust of your clients and your subscribers will remain intact. Because I think that's the number one thing that you have to make sure, that their trust is still with you, because you are doing a lot of things to make sure that no breach will happen and no information of your clients would go out.
Again, investing in cybersecurity is not expensive, especially if it allows your business to actually flow smoothly.
Yes.
Again, thank you very much. Insightful talk there. Rex Evangelista, Head of IT over at Eastern Communications. Thank you, Rex.
Thank you.